What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay. Who else but me? And today, my guests are legendary tag team, the Headbangers, former WWF Champions, and Attitude Era studs in general. Man, I cannot even explain to y'all. I know I normally say, I had a great time having this conversation, and 9 times out of 10, I 100% mean it when I say that. But this one, look, if you're not on my Patreon yet, which you can get on here, I'll even put it up for the scroller. For those watching on YouTube and not listening to the audio-only version, I'm going to go ahead and put the link down here at the bottom so you can see exactly where to subscribe at www.patreon.com/TheRoseShowPod. Now, the reason why I'm breaking this up, there is some footage that I can't necessarily show here on this platform because it just wouldn't mesh anywhere, and some of it's a little bit meh. But we had such a good fucking time recording this, but unfortunately a lot of the fun that we had didn't mix in because there were technical problems. But me and Mosh just sat there and basically, I don't know, we kind of had our own little interview outside of the interview while we waited on Thrasher to get his shit together. And it was fucking hilarious. This was one of the funnest interviews I've ever done. And I 100% mean that. This was one of the funnest interviews I've ever done. But a large part of what was fun, I can't even show here because it doesn't gel anywhere at all in this episode. So at some point, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it right this week, but at some point, I'm going to put out on my Patreon what I can't show here. Because even Mosh told me after the fact, like, if you don't use this, send it to me and I will use it. And I'm like, dude, I can't do that. I'm going to find a way to make this work. So anyway, that's my long-winded way of saying join my Patreon because we're going to have some bonus content on this episode that I can't show on today's episode. And it's hilarious. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead and hear a word from my sponsor. Don't forget to join at patreon.com/TheRoseShowPod for that extra content. And then after a word from my sponsor, we will get into the interview with Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. Let's do it, y'all. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay, and I'm here for W Energy, my sponsors. Now, what is W Energy, you might ask? W Energy is clean, jitterless energy. Better than the canned stuff that you would get at your convenience stores, your gas stations, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have all that trash in it. Now, how do I know? Because I myself use W Energy. So what I've got here, a couple of limited edition flavors. For instance, W Energy puts out this stuff called Grandpa's Ginger Water. I know it don't sound that great, but it is amazing. Limited run that they came out that I've got actually multiple tubs of. I believe in W Energy. I use W Energy myself. Also, this was just released and it's another limited edition flavor that they come out with, and it's called Pom Blom. It's pomegranate blossom. Real nice, clean flavor. And a lot of W Energy, whether it be classics like Calio Cream or the Dub Sludge, whatever it might be, it is clean energy. It's not going to make you feel all crappy at the end of the day after using it. Now, here's what I want you to do, because again, they're obviously a sponsor of mine, but what I want you to do is I want you to go to www.w.gg, order one of the sampler packs, which you get one of these cool tumblers, a part of the sampler pack, and I want you to grab one, but don't use my promo code. That's right. Don't use my promo code Who Else at checkout, because I want you to try it without thinking I'm just trying to sell you a bill of goods. Try it one time, and then when you go back to buy your second order of W Energy, then use my promo code Who Else at checkout for a 10% discount, because all you're going to do is try it. I know you're going to love it. That's how much I believe in this product, and I thank them for sponsoring the show today. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay, who else but me? And today, man, I am super excited because I've got two former WWF Tag Team Champions in the house. For me, anyway, they were peak at the height of my fandom in the Attitude Era. Two people I really enjoyed watching for multiple reasons. One, because they worked with one of my favorite rap duos of all time, but we'll get to that later. But I always been interested to pick their brains on a couple different things from that era, because that was one of the coolest eras for me. But anyway, we'll get to all that later. It is Mosh and Thrasher. My friends, how are we doing today?
Good. You're going to have us talk about beating up ICP again?
Oh my goodness.
Don't spoil it for everyone. Yes, we will get to that point, but we'll get there here in a little bit.
Rap group. I'm the only people we beat up, so it's kind of left. It was kind of an easy answer there.
Kind of, yes, very much so.
We'll get to that here shortly. But first and foremost, I wanted to start it off with just talking about the Headbangers gimmick, because that was something that, for me anyway, in that time frame, like you would go to Kings Island here in the Ohio area where I live in Cincinnati, and you would see people who were dressed just like you guys.
Thank God you didn't say Cleveland.
No, not Cleveland. No. I already pissed. I had Vince Russo on here a couple weeks ago, and I made comments about Browns fans, and I haven't stopped hearing about it since. So I'm not gonna. We're not gonna.
So I'm gonna guess you're a Bengals fan then.
I am not. I am a Titans fan. The only Ohio team I follow is the Reds. That's it.
Sorry, I know.
Actually, we're sorry you're wearing that, because if you saw Jerry Jones's last thing he said, he doesn't care about winning. He's all about building a company. So you're not winning.
Of course. Yeah. I figured
being worth $12 billion, who cares? Because you're not winning anytime soon. So
exactly.
I mean, the Bengals aren't either. So I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, trust me. And again, I pissed off Bengals fans on the same exact episode when I said that they're always cocky only when they're living or only when they're winning. So there's that.
Whole lot of pissing going on.
I'm a Bengals fan, so I understand. So
okay.
My difference between me and every other fan out there is I go into every season with zero expectations. So if we do something, I'm excited. If we don't, then I expected them to suck. So it doesn't matter.
That's kind of where I'm at now anymore.
Good, because he's basically come out and said, "Hey, I'm here to build a business, not a championship." So
that's crazy. I didn't hear that. That's crazy.
Just said it yesterday.
He's absolutely right. Yeah, I just saw that as well. And as a Titans fan, I have zero expectation ever for any reason at all, because again, it's the Titans. So I get it. But okay, so we can talk about the NFL all day, but let's get back to this. So so the gimmick for me, the one thing I always would see would be and when I was down in that area, would be people dressed just like you guys. And then fast forward to you guys getting on WWF television, you guys represented that as well. How did that gimmick come about? Who came up with that when you guys were in Smoky Mountain? Was that something that was given to you guys, or how did the Headbangers gimmick come to be?
So I'll start it off, and then I'll let Chaz finish it like we usually do. I knew Cornette for years and years before that, and when he started Smoky Mountain, he would come up to Larry Sharp's school, and he would do shows for Larry, and he had an open invitation for me to come down. I never wanted to go to any territory like that by myself, and I was wrestling at that time as the Spider. That me and Chaz got together, and we wrestled as the Spiders. So he then proceeded to say, Chaz.
Oh, I was just wondering what any of that had to do with how we came up with the gimmick.
Well, how we met Cornette. That's how we met Cornette.
You didn't ask how we met Cornette anyway. So just so you know, Jay, this is what we do. that's why it's good to have us all at the same time. But anyway, no. So the idea was we wanted to go to Smoky Mountain. Cornette wanted to bring us in, and he called us up and he said, "Okay, I have a spot opening up. I want to bring you guys in." He goes, "But I don't like the Spiders. I don't like masked wrestlers. I don't like guys that wear masks." He goes, "You can't use your facial expressions, blah, 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 blah." He said, "But I have this other idea." He said, and you're going to kind of chuckle at this because everyone laughs at this.
We did.
He goes, "I was at a Glenn Danzig concert in New York." He said, and these guys were jumping off the stage on each other. They were wearing makeup and dresses, and they were beating the shit out of each other. The guys in the dancing. He goes, it was crazy. He said, but he goes, the New York attitude, the way they act and stuff. He goes, it just reminds me of you guys being from the Northeast. He said, so what I'd like to do, he goes, I had this idea where you guys would kind of be like Headbangers. He goes, I don't know what we would call you, but he goes, you'd be like Headbangers. He goes, I'm not saying you need to go out and get piercings and get tattoos and wear dresses and stuff like that. He goes, it's just an idea. He goes, would you guys be open to it? And our answer was obviously yes. After a little bit of a conversation about it, but the answer was yes, because it was an opportunity. And we were in Ozark Mountain Wrestling, making like $5-6 a night if we were lucky. So when Cornette guaranteed us $75 a night, we were in. We were like, we're rich. So So yeah, so the funniest part about it was actually Marilyn Manson who was opening for Glenn Danzig that night that he was at the concert. So I like that type of music. I've been over to Philly, to the bank to go to the concerts, and I've dove off the stage. I've stage dove. I've been in mosh pits, so I knew exactly what he was talking about. So we went there, and yeah, we just ran with it, and then we kind of created it, made it, evolved it into what it is now, and what it became. And one of the things was we had to get different outfits because when we showed up at Smoky Mountain for our first TV, Cornette handed me a Slayer shirt. He handed Glenn a Metallica shirt. We were wearing like black shorts. I was wearing boots. I think Glenn was wearing like high top sneakers.
Sneakers. Yeah.
And we were like, we got to figure something else out to wear because PG-13 was big in that, all over Tennessee. And we just looked like bigger versions of PG-13. And so, being the alternative, I knew what they wore, things like that. So we went to the thrift store and we're walking around the thrift store and I made a right-hand turn and went down the women's aisle and started looking through skirts and dresses. And I put a skirt on and I walked down the aisle towards Glenn and he just stood there shaking his head going, nope, not doing it. And I was
Not wearing a skirt.
I said, let's just try it and see what happens. Like, we're like $4 a piece. Like, who cares?
I looked at him and I went, we're going to get nothing but razzed in the locker rooms about wearing these goddamn skirts. What is wrong with you? All the boys are going to brag on us. No, we're not wearing these.
And
after some begging.
we bought 2 skirts. We got in the locker room and we got razzed. We got Tracy Smothers, Dirty Boy, Ricky and Robert. They're all busting our balls about these skirts. But we went out. We got so much heat from the crowd. Here's 2 guys over 6 feet tall with some kind of makeup on your face, wearing skirts, with a radio with obnoxious music on it. We just got so much heat. We got into the back. Cornette looked at us. He said, "Where did you buy those?" We said, "The thrift store." He handed us each $20. He goes, "Go buy more. You now wear skirts."
And I'll have to say, after all these years, it's the most comfortable thing to wrestle in ever. And I only say
Fair
that
enough.
because of full circle when we went back to Ring of Honor for Cornette and we wore the mask and we had the tights on and the singlet, and it was horrible. We couldn't wait to put on our skirts.
The funniest part about Ring of Honor was Cornette called us up with this idea to bring us in when he was at Ring of Honor. And he goes, "Yeah, there's Guardians of Truth. Like, you're going to have masks." We're like, "Wait a minute. You took masks off and now you want to put them back on." And he goes, "Yeah, because if the gimmick doesn't work," he goes, "hopefully nobody know it was you guys." So,
That's awesome.
second or third time in, he had us come back out as a headbanger. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said, Mosh, you said that you had been in mosh pits, you've been in the metal scene. Thrasher, were you at all into that kind of music?
So
Because
I was more like the kid, the MTV Saturday night downstairs recording the MTV concert, and it was usually either Ozzy Osbourne or Metallica or somebody like big and heavy and stuff like that. So I was into it, just not as far as the mosh pits and as Chaz was. But yeah, I was into that type of music. Yeah.
Listen, nothing wrong with getting in a pit and punching people in the face.
Yeah. See, I don't like that.
I used to like it until I turned about 35. And then I went because I worked in the music industry for years and years and years. And I got into one just because it'd been so long since I've been in one. And it beat me up so bad. I was like, that's it. I did my last mosh pit. I'm finished. I can't do that anymore. So, hey, when you mosh right, it hurts. It hurts. One of the things that made you guys stick out, obviously during your run when it comes to the WWF, when you guys eventually got there, was the gimmick. But at the same time, that gimmick was something that like you would see in big cities. Obviously, like I was saying, when I would go to Kings Island, I would see people dressed just like you. So it was kind of new, but it really wasn't if you were around society that much during that time. I know that's weird for people who weren't alive back then, but that was a normal style. What do you think it was about you guys that really stood out during your run in the WWF that elevated you to the status that you eventually became?
Separate from the other people. That's your question.
No. So let me answer the question. what made our gimmick stand out in a world where people were dressing like that, it was the times. We used to come out and we'd say we're your children because that's exactly where society was going, was being
At
your own
that time, yeah.
person, weird, being different. But what got us over so much was the Headbangers thing is not a gimmick. You
Real.
had Isaac Yankum, you had all these guys, as gimmicks. I think we were one of the first ones who really weren't a gimmick. And I say we weren't a gimmick. It looks gimmicky because we're wearing, but that's how we were. That's how we are. Like I said, I enjoy that type of music. I know all about that kind of alternative lifestyle that people were living, what they were doing. But it was real. Like, we really like to have fun. We really like to have a good time. And a lot of those interviews we did, when there's one time Vince McMahon was like in a live interview on Raw, he's like, "How come you guys aren't all full of energy like yours?" So we're like, "Vince, we've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. We're exhausted. We just want to go out there, wrestle, do our thing, take a nap, and then go out and do it all over again." And he was like,
and that was real.
he said after the interview, he goes, "Does that really happen?" We're like, "Yeah, that's true, Vince. Like, we just want to go out there and do what we got to do so we can go out and party again with all the fans." Like, that was real life for us. That's what we did. So it wasn't just a gimmick. I think it got over so well because we were real.
Yeah, sure. Did you guys ever, because being a metalhead myself, I understand what it's like running into other metalheads, and they always, for some reason, metalheads always want to pull your metal card, like, "Oh, you're not a real metalhead if you don't listen to X or whatever it is." Did you guys ever run into those kind of people during that run where it was
All the
like, "Oh, you guys
time.
are all the time"?
All the
Okay,
time. All the time.
Oh, we still get it now. I get asked now, "Oh, who's your favorite? Like, who'd you listen to?" And I'm honest. Like, I listen to a variety. I'll listen to some Beethoven, some Mozart. I'll listen to Billy Joel, but then I'll put on Morbid Angel and Marilyn Manson and, Metallica or AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. I run the whole gamut. But my thing is music to me, it's either what kind of mood am I in or what kind of mood am I trying to get in. That's when what I want to listen
That's
to.
what
Like,
she said.
I'm going to
hey,
be on. I don't know if can you hear that? Like, if I'm going out to like a kickball or a softball game or something, and I'm tired, I'll put on something heavy. I'll put on, Godsmack or whatever to get in the mood. But if I'm at home, which I am most of the time because I work from home 90% of the time, I'll have Matchbox 20 playing in the background or whatever. So it just depends.
Thrasher, you answered that really quickly. Do you have a specific thing in your head that?
Not really. It's kind of the same. It depends on the kind of mood I'm in and stuff like that. It's weird that, I think today music is so diverse. It's so
Yeah.
widespread that, people listen to everything. I mean, you see the crossovers between the country stars becoming pop stars and vice versa and everything else like that. And then you got Jelly Roll, just doing everything. So it's a lot different now than it used to be, but everybody, always goes, "Oh, what was your favorite band back then?"
And
You
Glenn's
know, and
answer
they,
and Glenn's answer now is, "I'm a Swiftie."
yeah, I'm a Swiftie, yes. Hey, today's the 13th. Make sure you watch the Kelsey interview. She's going to announce something big. Big.
I have zero desire to listen to any of that.
I have no idea.
Quick story about Morbid Angel. You triggered something in me because I worked at a venue in Dayton as security. Well, I was a promoter there too when it came to music, but they would use me from security from time to time. And Morbid Angel was opening for Devil Driver, and I'm 6'3", 240. So of course, if I'm working security, I'm in front of the stage catching the bodies as they're coming in. And nobody was really like crowd surfing or anything like that all night. And I was like, wow, this is actually a pretty easy night for me. The lead singer of Death Angel gets this close to my head and goes, "This guy right here, he's bored out of his mind. I want everybody in the back to get to the front. And I just look up and I'm like this, like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Next thing I know, bodies just flying at me. So every time I hear Morbid Angel, that's the one thing I think of was, that's the dude that almost killed me when I was working security for him. They were fucking awesome though, man. They're real good
So
band. I
many
highly
things I
recommend them.
could say right now. So many things.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of bands used to send shirts to the office in Stanford, the Titan Towers, WWE office. They would send, and we started cutting them up and we started wearing them. And then when we got our own merchandise, obviously we're wearing our own merchandise because if we're not wearing it, no one's going to buy it. And that's the whole goal of having merchandise, have people to buy it. And then we'd get messages from the bands going, "What the fuck? Like, you're not wearing our shit anymore." I'm like, "Sorry, dude. Like, you're not paying us to wear it. We were just wearing it. It was a cool looking shirt and pay us to wear it. We'll wear it. WWE's paying us to wear these shirts. So sorry, we're going to wear them."
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things I wanted to touch on, which got you guys immediately talking at the beginning of this, was in Violent J of ICP's audiobook, he tells a story about how working with you guys, they thought you guys were going to go one way, but in the other fashion of working with you guys ended up beating the shit out of them, not once but twice. So what I kind of wanted to get was your guys' side of the story, because the way that he made it sound was you guys had a plan, you guys were supposed to give him a little bit, and whatever it might be, but you guys just ended up beating the shit out of him. Is that really how it happened, or how did that go down?
Well,
Well,
like
I'll start it.
hold on. Like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Right. Right. So when they initially came in, the whole plan was supposed to be that we were going to form a faction later on and build a storyline to build a faction between us and them. So they got so amped up and caught up in their own, I don't want to say their own hype, but they got caught up in the drama of everything. They wanted that done right then and there. They didn't understand the wrestling business yet. They were only in it for, I don't know what, 3-4 months maybe, but they wanted that whole storyline to happen right then and there. They didn't understand the build of the whole storyline decline. So go ahead, Chaz, finish it.
So there's actually a few different stories. One is that we just decided to beat the shit out of them, which isn't true at all.
No.
But what happened is we did the slow build. We suffered through working the oddities to finally
painful.
make, and then we make the turn, and we got such a great reaction from the crowd, especially when we cut Luna's hair and we did all that stuff. One of the stories is that we heard was that after that, ICP went into Vince and said, "Hey, did you hear that reaction? Like, that was money. Like, that was amazing. This is going to be great. Blah, 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 blah. We need more money." And Vince was like, "Okay, yeah, let me think about it." And then word got sent to us about that. And we were told, "Hey, they're not being allowed back in the building. So tomorrow, we want you guys to go out there and school them, take them to town, like whatever you got to do, let them feel it. Because if you don't, you won't be getting in the building tomorrow either." So we kind of had to do is, we're just employees doing our job. So we laid everything in. We laid it in hard. And then the second time it was they brought him back in, and we're still feuding with them, and it was kind of the same thing. And we had to take him down, and it was like on the floor, and we had to take him down, and it wasn't anything personal. It was just one of those business things that we were kind of told to do. And then I've seen their interviews, and they talk about how they were told, I guess WWE told them that they would promote their album or something, and WWE did not promote the album during the show. So they called their promoter, and the promoter was like, "Tell them to go F off and get out. Like, you guys should just leave." And they just left. So again, there's different versions to the story, but ours is, we were told to go out there and just be stiff and make it as real as possible. And, that's kind of what we did. It wasn't a lesson for them. It wasn't anything like that. It was just us doing as we were told to do. But the greatest part about it is they called us years later to go out to do the gathering of the Juggalos. And I was like, "Oh, is this payback? Like, are we about to get a
Here comes the receipt.
We gave them astronomical price to bring us in, and they said yes. And when they said yes, I went, "Oh, we're about to die," because
In front of all those juggalos.
I knew nothing about the gathering. I didn't know about the whole thing, which I will not get into here. It's not my place to talk about that, but it's a spectacle, and there's like thousands of people there. And I know how the juggalos are, and I legit thought we were going there to get our asses beat. But I was like, hey, we're going to leave with a boatload of money, so hopefully that'll be enough to cover medical bills if we do get the shit. But no, when we got there, they both came up to us, and they were like, thank you so much for coming. We're so happy to have you here. Like, we loved working you guys. You guys beat the shit out of us. That was so much fun. And we were like, oh, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, like, great. We're like, I mean, obviously we were happy to be there, but I was happier to find out that we weren't being set up to get the shit beat out of us by 1,000 jugglers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a regular attender, but I've been to 4, being this close to Columbus. Because that's typically where they have it, is in Legend Valley and Columbus. And you're right, it can get violent very quick. Go see stories about Tila Tequila. You know, that was national news when that happened, when she got fucked up.
Yeah, I know. We were there the one time, and there was a bunch of ruckus. I guess somebody went and stole something out of someone's car.
Yeah.
So they went and found the guy's stuff and flipped the car upside down, beat him up, lit it on fire. The whole thing. But yeah, it was. We did 2 or 3 of them. They were fun.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I know you guys say working with the oddities was hurtful in a physical form.
Oh no, we didn't mean physical. We just meant in general.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. What
Right.
was it at least cool working with Luna Vachon?
Oh yeah, Luna
was the worst one out of them all.
Luna was amazing to work with. Earthquake was, you just get Kerrigan in there, and he's just so big and so awkward. You don't know, you can't do anything with him. Like John Tenta could move around, and he would work with us, and
Right.
He knew how to work with us and be safe. He knew how to use his weight and his body to be safe and make it look good. Those other 2, listen, love them to death.
Giant Silva.
Nicest guys in the world, but you couldn't do anything with them. And then when they would touch you, you would get scared because you had no idea what was coming. So that just was what difficult. And then it was weird because we were working them, and then all of a sudden 1 week later we're working the New Age Outlaws. Then we're back to working with them. Then we're back to New Age, and it was just like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on here? Just made it. It was just, that's what made it difficult.
Yeah. What was some of your guys' favorite teams to work with?
LOD,
Simple.
the Godwins.
There's 2, New Age Outlaws and Godwins. Those are my top 2. We had
LOD was always fun because LOD was always fun because of the reaction that they would get. Like when they came back on Monday Night Raw and we were their opponents, it was just incredible to be in the ring and hear that LOD pop. So it was cool. So my favorites were them, Outlaws and the Godwins, of course.
Yeah, for sure. So eventually, as we talked about in the intro, you guys had the championships strapped to you. What was your guys' first reaction when you guys were told, hey, we're going to let you guys run with the titles for a little bit? Was it something that was just business to you? Was it something where the little kid in you was like, yes, this is awesome? How did you guys react to that news?
All of the above. It was the little kid in us. I mean, it's something that, you don't think about that's ever going to happen to you. It's like when you talk to like somebody from that won a Super Bowl. Hey, what was that like? It's the hardest thing to describe to somebody that's never been there, done that kind of thing. So the whole way that we found out was cool. I'll let Chaz tell the story. He tells it much better than I do anyway. When we got to the building that day, Cornette was there. And go ahead, Chaz, pick it up.
Oh, geez, thanks. Chaz, tell the story. So up to the building, Cornette grabbed us. So we're in the Louisville Garden is where the pay-per-view was, and we weren't even supposed to be on that pay-per-view. The only reason we were on it was Stone Cold and Dude Love were tag champs, and that's when Steve hurt his neck after the pile driver from Owen. So we were just thrown in. and that we were thrown in like I don't know 4 or 5 days, before the pay-per-view. So zero expectations of winning or doing anything other than just being happy to be, on another pay-per-view, and just being happy, to be there. So Cornette grabs us. He's like, "Come on, I got to talk to you, boys." So he takes us all the way down into the parking garage of the Louisville Gardens. Like,
We're going, oh shit.
like, what did we do now, Jimmy, that you're bringing us down to the bowels of the garden? And he's like, just follow me. And literally, when I tell you, it was like a back corner of the parking garage underneath the Louisville Gardens. He was sitting there. He's like, all right. He goes, I wanted to share this moment with you. You guys did nothing wrong this time. He goes, but I want to share this
time.
He goes, I want to share this with you, just the three of us, because I know how you're going to react. And we're like, okay. He goes, you guys are winning the belts tonight. So business side is kind of like a duck. We're like, oh, cool. That's awesome. Like,
awesome.
Thank you. And he goes, no, I brought you down here so you guys could jump all around and act like idiots, so you don't do that in front of everybody in the locker room. So that's what we did. All three of us jumped up and down, hugging and
yeah. And
but then we
coolest.
Go ahead. I was going to say, we get in the locker room. You can say the coolest part when I'm done. When we get in the locker room, this is why we're not good at the same time. We get in the locker room and we're going over the match with everybody. All of us are in there. And finally, it was, okay, so you guys are going to win. This is how we're doing the finish. You guys win, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there like this. We're like just covering our mouths. We're like, cool. And then Phineas and Henry stood up because at this point we were working them all the time. Phineas and Henry was like, it's okay to smile, guys. It's good. Like, you guys have earned this. Congratulations. Like, we all hugged it out right there in our locker room. Like, that was the coolest parts about it.
So one of the coolest things for me is my oldest daughter at the time, who I think was 4, maybe 3 or 4, was actually with us on the road and actually got to see it. Not that she remembers it today, but, she was actually there with me, during that time. It was cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, since you guys, obviously, it wasn't a gimmick, like Mosh was saying. Any road stories you guys can tell that most people don't know that wouldn't get me a strike on YouTube if you tell me right now?
So I'll tell you one. So we were known for doing this one thing. Well, a lot of things, but this is the one that's won't get us in any trouble. We used to take the trash can from inside the hotel room. We used to fill it up halfway with water and then take it to somebody's door and just lean it that much up against the door. Which way the hotel doors swing? Yeah, that's right, inside. But every single time that we would do this, for some reason, we would always knock on Ken Shamrock's door. Oh. And then it happened to him a couple times and everything else. And then just one time, he just opened the door and was just so mad and chased us all the way down the hall. And we were like, yeah, that's the last time we're doing that to anybody. It was crazy, but it was so funny because, how do you answer the door in a hotel? You either have socks on, and now the carpet, this is back when they had carpets in hotel rooms, the carpet is soaking wet now. So now every time that you walk yourself to the bathroom, you're going to walk in in that water. So that was one of the things that we always used to do that I always thought was hilarious.
We had went on a water balloon kick back in our Memphis days. When we first went to Memphis, the Axel and Ian Rotten drove with us, and we would fill up water balloons. And then as other boys were driving down the road, we're going down the highway, we'd be like, hey, roll your window down. They'd roll the window down. We'd take a water balloon and toss it across lanes and hit them, and they would explode in their cars and things like that. And then one time there was a guy coming up, and he was like laughing, and he had his window down. As he was getting off the interstate going this way, Axel just had the perfect throw of all times. Guys like waving, and Axel tosses this water balloon. It's got to go. I kid you not when I tell you it had to go, I don't know, 30 yards, 40 yards.
At least, yeah.
Right in the guy's window. Hits him in the lap, and all you saw was water all over. And then all of a sudden, you see the guy's hand come out going like this with the middle finger up the entire way off. There was nothing he could do. He's getting off the ramp. What was he going to do?
Yeah.
I would, yeah, I used to do stupid, fun stuff like that. I guess those are the G-rated stories we could tell you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you guys had a brief return in 2016. What was that experience like compared to your original run? Did it feel like, was it something that you guys thought might go somewhere, or did you know it was just going to be temporary? Or did you want it to go further than that? What was that experience like compared to the original?
It was very business when we went back. The demeanor in the locker rooms were different and everything else. I mean, because back in our time when we were there, we would go in there, we'd have PlayStations all over the place, we'd have cards, people would be slamming dominoes down, we'd be doing all kinds of stuff like that. And there was no dress code. I mean, we went back, we were business attire. It was very business run when we went back,
Mm.
and there was supposed to be something a little bit more than that, but I don't think it ever materialized into anything. Um, but yeah, it was a full circle moment for me, definitely.
Yeah, it was amazing. My son is is 21 now, but he had seen us do lots of independent shows, and whenever WWE would be in the area, I would reach out to Hunter or Road Dog and be like, "Hey, is there any way I could do the show?" Because all I've wanted, he wasn't around. He was born in '04, so I left WWE in '02, so he never saw any of it, and he never realized like to the extent that I did it, and to the extent we got to and all that stuff. He never really fully realized that actually till recently. But I said I just one time I want him to see me in the WWE ring. Just one time. Like I want to do a house show. I want to do something like that just so he can come and he can say it. And I kept being told no, insurance reasons, this reason, that reason. I'm like, I'll sign waivers, I'll sign whatever you want. Like, I just want one match. So when I would run into Road Dog, I knew he was obviously friends with Hunter. When I would run into him on indie shows, I'd be like, Brian, can you help me out here? Just one show, one thing. So when I got a text from him and it said, "Hey, are you guys available on Tuesday to do live SmackDown Live?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Who is this and why are you ribbing me?" But he ended up calling me and he was like, "No, we got this angle, blah 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 blah." So for me, it was obviously great to go back, especially, it had been 15 years since I had been there or been on TV. But for my son to see it, and then the greatest part was I said to him, I said, "What do you want me to do on TV for you? It's just for you." And he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, you want me to do the monkey face?" He goes, "No, you do that for Amy. Amy's my niece. When she was a baby, I used to do the monkey face. So when I got on TV, that's what the monkey face was for. It was for her." So we went back and forth. And he finally looked at me and he goes, "I want you to dab." That's when the dab was big with
Mm.
Cam Newton. And I'm like, I'm not doing the dab. I think the dab is stupid. And he goes, "I know. That's why I want you to dab." So I said, "All right." So it just worked out. Like a lot of times when we're doing something with ring entrances, you tell the camera guys, you tell production, "Hey, I'm going to do this. Can you pick it up?" I didn't even do that. I got in the ring, did my roll, went right to that corner, and it was just perfect timing, me on the corner, and I hit the dab. The coolest part about that was my my ex-wife, she set up her phone behind him. So I was able to watch him watch me come out. So the whole time I got to see the 5 minute match, I got to see his expression the whole time. And when I hit the dab, his expression, like he starts wiping his eyes. To this day, he won't admit he teared up, but he was so caught up in it. And me being able to it's kind of cool because like we shared a moment, but we weren't together. We're 1,000 miles
Yeah.
apart. But me being able to, and I still have it saved on my phone. It's one of the greatest videos I'll ever have. Be able to watch of him watching me. But for me, right there, that moment, that's for me. That's what it was all about. It was all about just that one time, and then we were fortunate enough to get called back 2 more times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all about for me. It was all about him seeing me there. That's all that mattered. But out of all the stuff we've done, that's got to be the number one thing for me because I wrote a book. I'm waiting for it to get published, and in the back of the book, I listed like my top 10 favorite moments, and that's literally my top moment of everything I've done.
For sure. Well, as we wind down here, one final question for you guys, because this is something that For me, tag team wrestling is always something that just, I wouldn't necessarily say added flavor to the show, but I think it's just as integral as anything else from any other wrestling show in general. And from my perspective, this is just me, and I want to ask your guys' opinion what you think of this. It feels like there's almost a neglect when it comes to tag team wrestling in the last couple of years. Do you guys kind of
100%.
feel the same? You feel the same way? All right, go ahead and talk
100%.
about it.
100%. I just feel like, the nature of a tag team is two guys that gel together as one, and they work together as a unit and everything else. Um, I'll still say today that we're probably one of, or the most underrated tag team, with
Yeah.
the most underrated finisher in the business. Everybody goes out there. I'm going to go on my rant. Chaz already knows what I'm doing. Um, everybody goes out there now. See, he's heard this 1,000 times.
For the audio only listeners,
Yes.
he just took his
So
headphones off.
I mean, everybody goes out there and they do, demolitions finish. They do the Heart Foundation finish. They do the Dudley 3D death drop and everything else. Have you seen anybody do the stage dive?
No.
Because they can't. That's why.
Yeah.
Because it is too fluent and it's too much on timing. That's what makes it a tag team finish. And me say that it's the best tag team finish ever. I'm done.
Yeah. So when we first got there, tag teams were big and they were
Plentiful.
used.
Yeah.
I think tag teams add to the show because they're not only more fun to do, but they're more fun to watch because there's different things going on. You got the guy on the outside of the crowd, you got the guys in the ring getting the heat. Yeah, there's more way to tell stories. There's more action. There's more things going on. Then obviously it turned into, like Dude Love and Stone Cold were tag champs. Here's two guys wrestling each other. Let's just throw the belts on them. I think it's starting to come back a little bit with Shawn and with Triple H, because if you look at the tag teams now, it's for the most part not so much guys being thrown together. I do go up to the Performance Center and I work with the NXT guys, and there's tag teams they're building there that are guys that look alike, that dress alike. You got Hank and Tank, or the NXT tag team, or NXT tag team champions. So they're starting to bring it back, like they brought the machine guns in, those guys from, is that their names? The machine.
Yeah, most Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're
Who are
bringing.
awesome. Yeah.
I think they're starting to get back to legit tag teams instead of just two guys being thrown together. But that was a Vince thing. He wasn't a big fan of tag teams, and it was like he used it to get other storylines and other angles over. But I think it's coming back. I mean, the women's division with the tag teams they're doing, I mean, it's just, I think it's going to work its way back to at least being something
relevant
full on the card.
Just to piggyback on what you said real quick, I think Bruce Pritchard has said in the past on his podcast that Vince would look at tag team wrestling as, why do I pay 4 guys when I can just pay 2 to do the exact same thing? Was that the vibe that you guys got from him for the most part?
I just got the vibe from him that he was just using it for other storylines. I didn't get the vibe that's why we weren't, because we were still getting booked. Maybe we weren't getting a push or anything, but we were still getting booked and getting used. But it just seemed like the tag belts, he was using tag teams, but the tag belts, the championships, were being used to just push singles storylines. And I think one of the things missing in tag team wrestling today, and this is what I try to talk to the guys at the Performance Center about when I'm there, is it's all singles moves. Like, I'm going to shoot a guy in the corner, have him come out. I'm going to do a bulldog. He's going to roll over. My partner's going to drop an elbow. Then I'm going to drop a leg on him. That's not tag team moves. That's a bunch of singles moves by 2 different people thrown in. Tag team moves is kind of a lost art. And I tell all of them, I go, what's old is new. Go back and watch. And I tell them this because that's what Cornette did with us when we went to Smoky Mountain. Cornette handed us a VHS tape and said, go home, watch this, and incorporate it into you. It was all rock and roll Midnight Express stuff. That's all it was. So I tell the kids up at the NXT, I'm like, Go back and watch the old stuff. Go back and watch Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. I mean, go back and watch old Flair stuff. Those olden days, people aren't doing that stuff anymore. And what's old is new now because no one's doing it.
Yeah,
So
that makes a
very
lot of
true.
sense. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me today. Like I said, man, you guys were a big part of my childhood. Watching you guys, it was always entertaining to me. And I always say, anybody that's ever been in the business, I appreciate what you guys did to yourselves, to your bodies for our entertainment. It was an absolute pleasure watching you guys. So I always give the last couple of minutes to my guests. If there's anything that, what the fuck was that? We were this close to being out.
we travel with our own cheering section.
I do a podcast also.
Well, if there's
I got my podcast board right here. Like normally when Glenn tells a story, this is what people hear.
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh. Well, I always give the last couple of minutes to. Go ahead.
See, I'm used to the verbal abuse. I'm used to it. I'm like that housewife. That was the best one.
I can go all day.
Well, like I said, I always get the last couple of minutes to my guests. If there's anything you want to plug, be my guest, any website, socials, all that stuff. Floor is yours.
What the fuck? So the one thing I like to plug is me and my wife have started a new travel business for vacations, for cruises, anything. It's GNG Getaways. So it's on TikTok, it's on Facebook, it's on everything. So we're booking vacations. I figured with my 30 plus years of travel, why not start a travel business? And who doesn't love vacations? It makes you live longer.
Mosh, how about you, man? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me. I have my new website, chazmosh.com. I do a lot of philanthropic stuff, and I'm doing public speaking things. I have my podcast that we were doing live every Monday, but I think we're going to start taping it, and then just doing a little bit differently. But I do the podcast, and on social media, you can find me at everything's Chaz Mosh on social media. So check me out, TikTok, Instagram, all that other fun, happy stuff.
And also soon coming, there's going to be a podcast. I'm going to be doing a podcast with his name's Joe, and it's going to be Talking Trash with Thrash.
Oh yeah.
Oh, remember, I have nothing to do with anything he said.
Guys, this has been a shit ton of fun, man. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
No problem.